Ivy Tech Community College is committed to preventing and responding to all forms of sexual misconduct, including sex or gender-based discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual violence, dating violence, and domestic violence, sexual exploitation, and stalking. Such behaviors are against the law and are unacceptable under our policy. The college does not tolerate sexual misconduct and will take action to prevent and address it.
Today you will gain better understanding about sexual violence awareness and prevention and will have a better understanding of the meaning and definitions included in the term sexual violence, what it means to give consent, recognize signs of abuse, identify ways to protect yourself, know how to safely intervene if you are a witness to sexual violence, know the process for reporting and investigating incidents of misconduct, have access to more information about sexual violence prevention and response.
It's important for us to have a common language as we talk about these issues. Let's discuss those now. First, domestic violence is an act or a threat of violence against a spouse, former spouse, someone you have lived with as a spouse, have a common child with, a minor child in your care or control, or someone under the guardianship of another.
Dating violence is an act of violence committed by any person who is or has been in a romantic or intimate relationship with the victim.
Sexual assault is committed when a person subjects another person to sexual penetration without their consent. This includes when the individual knew or should have known the other person was mentally or physically not able to resist or understand the nature of the conduct, or if the other person is younger than 16 years old.
Sexual assault is also committed when an individual touches another person for sexual arousal or gratification without their consent, or when the individual knew or should have known that the person was physically or mentally incapable of resisting or appraising the nature of the person's own conduct, or if the other person is younger than 16 years old.
Stalking is when someone harasses another person intentionally and repeatedly. This may cause the person being harassed to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, or threatened.
We often hear about consent when talking about these issues. Consent is one of the most important definitions we will talk about today. But what does consent actually mean?
Consent is given for a specific sexual act and can be withdrawn at any time.
Consent cannot be coerced or forced.
Consent cannot be given by someone who cannot understand the facts, nature, or implications of the sexual situation occurring. This would include those who are under 16 years old, asleep, unconscious, impaired by drugs or alcohol, or mentally impaired due to a disability.
Just because you've been in a previous relationship or had prior sexual activity with the person does not mean you have consent for another time.
Also, even if someone is silent or does not say no or stop, it does not mean you have consent. The best piece of advice we can give you is to remember that yes means yes.
Next, let's talk about recognizing signs of abuse. At some point, you may come in contact with someone being abused. It's important to know the signs.
When someone is physically abused, you may notice bruises, black eyes, broken bones, open wounds, cuts, and other injuries in various stages of healing. You may also notice broken eyeglasses or signs someone has been punished or restrained. Someone may even tell you they have been hit, slapped, kicked, or mistreated.
When someone is being sexually abused, you may see a change in their eating habits, insomnia, depression, pelvic and back pain, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even suicidal tendencies.
There are also signs of mental and emotional abuse. 2. By being emotionally upset or agitated. They may be withdrawn and reclusive. You may also notice new unusual behaviors such as nervousness, and just like with physical and sexual abuse, someone may tell you that they are verbally or mentally mistreated.
Since we've brought up the topic of sexual abuse, let's discuss reducing your risk of sexual assault. It's vital for both men and women to do their part to help prevent it. Did you know 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men will be the victim of sexual assault during their college years?
Most sexual assaults are committed by acquaintances or dates, not strangers. Before becoming intimate, clarify expectations ahead of time. You are responsible for your actions, and being intoxicated is not a legal defense. A person has the right to say no at any point and to have that respected.
To help stay safe, never go anywhere alone with someone unless you know and trust them. Stick with friends and make sure when your group leaves, you leave too.
When going out, always have a way home and a backup plan. If you do leave with someone, make sure a friend knows where you're going.
Next, it's important to know your limits. When drugs or alcohol are involved, your chance of being sexually assaulted greatly increases. Always hold on to your drink and know what you're drinking. If your drink is ever out of sight, get a new one. And just like you shouldn't take candy from strangers, don't accept a drink from a stranger.
Always keep your phone charged and with you. Be aware of what you are posting on social media, especially when sharing your current location.
Pay attention to your surroundings. And finally, trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, leave.
As much as we hate to say it, you may do everything you possibly can and unfortunately still might be a victim of sexual assault. We want to share what to do if this happens to you. In an emergency situation, always call 911. Once safe, contact someone you trust for support, such as a family member or a friend.
Next, please seek medical attention as soon as possible. And if you have not already done so, report the assault to campus security or local law enforcement, which we will explain in a moment. Ask the medical personnel for a safe or rape exam. It's important you preserve the evidence, so don't bathe, shower, use the restroom, change your clothes, comb your hair, or clean up the crime scene. Don't move anything the offender may have touched. You don't need to collect evidence yourself, as your medical personnel or law enforcement will handle this as soon as possible, or at least within 96 hours of the assault. Remember, you don't need to decide immediately whether to take action against the person who assaulted you, but it's still important for you to preserve the evidence. Also, contacting the police does not require you to file charges.
If you have been assaulted, you may wonder who to report it to. Again, if in an emergency situation, always call 911.
After the emergency is over, or for non-emergency situations, report the offense to campus security, any college employee, or online at ivtech.edu/prevent sexual violence.
Next, get counseling and support. Seek out contacts and resources on your campus and community.
You can learn more about these resources at the Ivy Tech Preventing Sexual Violence website at ivtech.edu/prevent sexual violence. Also, consider completing an incident report with the college too.
If you become aware of a threatening situation or potential for violence, contact your campus security office or any college employee. You can also use the incident report form in MyIvy or at ivtech.edu/incident. If you make a report, provide as much detail as possible. This includes the name of other witnesses, the name of the person making the threat or possessing the weapon, location, or information helpful in conducting a fair and accurate investigation.
Remember, anyone can report an incident. When you submit a report, it goes to the campus Title IX coordinator for their review. The college will address all reports of sexual misconduct. The campus Title IX coordinator will assess harm to both individuals and the community and will respond using the available information and any request for confidentiality.
If you provide contact information, the Title IX coordinator will reach out to you to acknowledge and follow up on your report. They will also check in with you for resources or support and to make sure you've been provided with important information about options and next steps.
If you're not sure about filing a report, you can still speak with the Title IX coordinator to answer your questions. You do not need to provide us with information about the report, in order to get your questions answered either. The name and contact info for Ivy Tech System Title IX Coordinator and all campus Title IX coordinators can be found at ivytech.edu/prevent sexual violence.
Once the college receives a report, they will provide a prompt, thorough, and fair investigation of all allegations of sexual misconduct. They will make a determination based on the facts and evidence and take action to correct the situation. If the person filing the complaint requests confidentiality or asks that the complaint not be pursued, Ivy Tech will take all reasonable steps to investigate and respond to the complaint. But keep in mind, the college must weigh the request of confidentiality against its obligation to provide a safe, non-discriminatory environment for all students, including the person filing the complaint.
When we're talking about these issues, remember, we're all a part of the same community. We should look out for each other and assist each other when we can. So for the final topic, we want to discuss how you can help others without putting yourself in danger. Use these tips to safely intervene when a violent act is taking place or about to take place against another student.
When a situation is about to take place, stay calm and collect your thoughts. Assess the level of threat. Don't risk staying in or near a situation if personal harm to you is possible. Call the appropriate authorities, including 911, if at any point the situation appears dangerous.
If the situation is safe, try to de-escalate with direct intervention. This means to directly address the situation in the moment to prevent harm, like moving the victim away from the attacker. Use a calm, clear, and strong voice while keeping your body language non-threatening. Don't use words that threaten or intimidate, and be respectful.
In some situations, getting someone to help you may be a good option. This could be someone who is in a role of authority, such as a campus official or police officer.
A third great tip is to distract. When you use the distraction technique, you interrupt the situation without directly confronting someone. Try spilling a drink, ask questions to direct people involved, or cause a scene.
No matter what, always document the events. Even if the situation seems resolved, document it with campus security, Title IX coordinator, or using the online report. Remember, if you see something, say something. To learn more about sexual violence risk reduction, bystander intervention, college policies, Title IX coordinators, and campus and community resources available for victims both on campus and in the community, visit ivytech.edu/prevent sexual violence.